experienced soldier or fighter. Warriors come in many forms. Some fight in a cage for respect, family, and their livelihood. Others fight on the battlefield for freedom, our way of life, and the United States of America. On March 31st, from the Don Haskins Center in El Paso, Texas, WMMA will deliver an amazing night of fights, benefiting our nation's wounded warriors. McCorkle, Heden, Parisyan, Denny step into the cage not only to battle for their careers, but also to give back.
When I was first even offered the fight and I heard it was for the Wounded Warriors Project, I got behind it 100%.
There really is no greater sacrifice you can make.
WMMA has a commitment to charity.
A portion of our proceeds go to benefit the Wounded Warriors.
If this person went to another country for me and you, if we can do something to help that person out in the family, by all means, I want to do it.
A night to showcase warriors, to benefit warriors.
Come March 31st, when I fight Sean McCorkle, I'm gonna gas him out and then knock him out.
Somebody's getting put to sleep. It's not gonna be me.
March 31st, I'm gonna throw my opponent on his head.
I'm not looking for one shot to finish him. I'm looking for 50 shots to finish him.
McCorkle, Heden, Parisyan, Denny. This is their story. This is WMMA, fighting for a better world.
This is a big opportunity for me to show people that I'm back.
This is Carl's comeback fight, and I'll tell you what, it's gonna be exciting.
Carl would definitely be a great one to put under my resume to, be happy and show my kids, hey, I beat this guy.
Thomas Denny is a former champion. He is going to leave it all in the ring.
I was about 8 and a half. I saw these judo kids, all these bunch of little kids with belts on, and I was like, I can try this, I can do this, and I started doing judo.
Right away, I can see Carl has the talent. He has a big heart, he doesn't scare for fighting, he doesn't scare for anybody.
And I was able to do all these steroids and all these 6 submissions. I won like 10 junior nationals, and I've won everything in the country pretty much. I was 14, right, 1-4. There was a show in Tijuana, Mexico. I'm 14 years old. I mean, how many 14-year-olds that go to Mexico to fight, go to MMA, and I'm fighting a 23-year-old man that's 10-0 in MMA, pride and joy of Mexico, 170 pounds, chisel, and I'm fighting this guy, and I'm 14, bare knuckle.
That was the Carl was in that time, just basically he doesn't care. He just simply fight anybody.
These guys look at each other like, oh God, you have to sign some paperwork if you literally die, we're not responsible. And here I go in the ring and I fight this guy for 5 rounds and beat the crap out of him.
Unbelievable. That's actually what he decided to, he's gonna come a fighter.
And then it was to the Olympics, trials, or make a career out of this. And I made a career out of that.
I think I was just a born-bred fighter in all avenues of life. I came from nothing. I mean, like nothing. Crazy childhood, kind of like all over the place, in and out of homes. Had a crazy mom, addicted to heroin, was an alcoholic. So her choice in how to raise her children was a little different than most. My little brother's 5 years younger than me, and I was kind of like his protector to try to keep him away from all the crazy nonsense that we went through as kids. You go to a bar with your mom in the car, you and your little brother, and she goes in and meets some strange man, and that's the new guy you live with. So we had different dads all the time. When I was about 14, we moved out to Texas, and she got arrested for drinking and driving, and basically left my brother and I with this random guy. I basically made enough money to get us bus tickets to get back home to go live with his dad, which was my stepdad. And as we got back there, he said, well, Bradley can stay, but you need to move out. I was a little over 14, started renting a room, $100 a month, working after school at a machine shop to pay my rent. I grew up real fast. I was very mature for my age. Kind of did that for a while until I was 18. And then I went and took my little brother. He was 13 at the time. Basically raised him until he was 19. When I took him, we had a little crappy one-bedroom apartment, But the best part about it is he went to the same middle school, he went to the same high school, and then he went off to college. He got to, grow up with the same friends, where I, on the other hand, we did so much moving around. I mean, I went to, 10 different elementary schools, 6 different, middle schools, 7 high schools, till finally, the 11th grade. When I actually took my little brother, I actually quit school to take him and raise him. Him and I are very close. We have a real special bond. He's 6'3", 300 pounds. Did the Army thing for 8 years. He's, gone overseas and, fought in some of our biggest wars. So I just look at it as it's just one more way of just, man, we've conquered this world. We've made something out of ourselves.
I was supposed to fight Matthews for a title. I was training and someone tore my hamstring. I guess just rolling, it just popped. And that was the beginning of the end for everything, man. I had a really bad pain in my leg. And I would take a pain medication here and there for pain. One thing leads to another, and then the next thing you know, whoa, I'm feeling a little withdrawal, let's just say. I haven't taken anything for a couple of days, By the time I knew that I shouldn't take this stuff, it was already too late. It accidentally kicked my ass. Not being able to use my leg, to taking the pain medication, to getting popped for pain medication, dude, to a 9-month suspension, to a $32,000 fine. It was like the beginning of a nightmare. I never faced something like this in my life. I had never tripped in my life. Doctor told me, Carl, you've been fighting since 14. You have a balloon in you, eventually it's gonna fill up, it's gonna pop one day, and you're gonna have a full-on panic attack. First time it hit me, it was the middle of the night. I woke up like I'm dying. I woke up like that. I just never accepted it when they said you're having a panic attack. I was like, what do you mean panic attack? I don't panic. Panic is for like these kind of people. I don't panic. You're mentally running and you're like, it's hell. Now imagine having that right before you walk out to fight live on pay-per-view. It was UFC I signed to fight Dustin Haslett, and I got to the fights, and I remember I was already jittery. I still had that stuff in me, man, that mindset, that anxiety, that panic attack. It was still in the back of my head, man, 2 days before the fight. And I said, dude, I can't keep doing this. I can't do it. It's unhealthy. I'm gonna kill myself. I mean, everything went down on top of my head. And it was that fight that, I guess it broke me. And next thing I know, I'm fired. Dana fired me. Obviously, you're pulling out of fights. What do you think is gonna happen? And I remember I came home, had no career. I lost my contract. I had to put a gun on my lap. I didn't want to live. I was like, why would I live? What do I do? I have no career. The ones that I love can't even look at my face because they want to help me, but I know they're so disappointed in me. It's a kill. It's like a lion losing his heart. A lion losing his roar. That's how it is for me. I had to make a difference this way or that way, man. Am I gonna go on the slope and die and kill myself and just become a has-been? Or am I gonna pick it up? So we picked it up and we're trying to do it now. I went back to my old school, my old roots, old training partners, old habits.
The time when he started training the way he trained before, I think 6-7 months he become a champion because he has that heart, he can do it. If he wants to do it, he can do it.
Now is the time where it's going to define you, and this is time where I have to pick that up and make it into a lifestyle again. Not a job, but a lifestyle, and I will get on top just like that. I know it for a fact.
I remember my first fight being in 5th grade. That we had a Down syndrome kid in our elementary school, and these 2 kids just kept picking on him. I mean, they were putting food in the ground and making him eat it and thinking it was so funny. And I'd never been in a fight before, and I went over and I just cracked this kid in the face. And then his buddy turned around and tried to do something. I cracked him, and I was like, wow, this is what it's like to hit somebody. And it was crazy because almost the whole school applauded what I had done, and I kind of enjoyed that feeling. I was 17, working a full-time job, needed to have some kind of release. I liked being punched, and I like punching people in the face, so it was just a good release. I love sparring. Got into competing and doing some matches, and was undefeated in kickboxing. I'm 27 years old, put me in a jiu-jitsu tournament. Went in there, crushed a couple guys. It was just, wow, this stuff's kind of neat. Ended up getting in an 8-man crazy tournament, no gloves, no nothing, headbutts, everything was legal. I mean, it was something like out of the movies. Getting in there, fighting, beating all 3 of my guys. I think a total of 2 minutes combined. I think I made like $100 or something. The first year fighting, my money went way down here, but my happiness went way up here. Fast forward 13 years later, I've fought all over the world. I've, fought some of the best guys out there, and here I am today.
Thomas Denny, on paper, pound for pound, cannot even stand next to me as far as skill set or what we've done in the sport.
I'm a perfect opponent for Caro. We're gonna go out there and, see if his judo can work versus my stand-up.
So I've never been an opponent I haven't really thrown. Now I'm trying to recognize the throws and land on top of them so I can stay on top of them and beat the crap out of them there.
Caro throws everybody. Is he gonna throw me? Sure. But where am I gonna land? Am I gonna land on his back? Am I gonna land in a better position for myself?
He definitely has all the tools to stand in front of me and fight. He can punch the lights out of me any second and put me to sleep. So I gotta be careful.
All I need is one punch. One punch can change every aspect of the fight game. One punch, one knee, one elbow. And do I think I have that number? Yeah, I do have it on a lot of people.
I might even knock him out. Hey, I'm not even throw him, I might even knock him out in his own game.
Well, Caro, if you do decide to stand with me, I will knock you out.
And if the old Caro comes back, Thomas can't get out of it through not one round. I bring that Caro back, it'll be less than 5 minutes. I will finish Thomas in.
They fought for me.
They fought for me.
Now we'll fight for them.
March 31st, a special fighting event benefiting our nation's wounded warriors. WMMA presents 6'7" giant Sean McCorkle taking on the hard-hitting Heden. Former top contender Caro the Heat Parisyan
I'm gonna throw my phone on his head.
battles Thomas the Wild Man Denny.
Watch me unleash.
WMMA, fighting for a better world. Go to WMMAsports.com. McCorkle versus Heden, live on pay-per-view.
WMMA was started and evolved into a concept which is fighting for a better world.
This is a global company. The objective is to be on every continent within the next year.
Hey Gabe, it's Barry. How are you? We had a few questions we wanted some help with about the Brazil event.
I think we're in pretty good shape. We'll have South America taken care of. We've got North America taken care of. We have the UK, and we will move beyond that.
One of WMMA's prime goals is to be able to give back to the communities that we're in.
What I like about the WMMA organization, I like the idea of fighters laying it out there on the line for charitable organizations.
Above and beyond strictly the entertainment value of MMA, something that gives back to the community. El Paso, it's going to be the Wounded Warrior Project. Very important to us.
There are very few companies that are giving anything back to anybody. For a company to come along who wants to help out wounded warriors and support the military, I think is an awesome thing to do.
By giving some of the proceeds of the March 31st event to the Wounded Warrior Project, I was all in.
El Paso is home to Fort Bliss, and when we got here and brought the fighters out, the things that they did were unbelievable. We had a long time that we got to spend with the Wounded Warriors. Thomas Denny, he had the opportunity to actually train with Army Combatives team.
Oh, that nice. Feel the difference?
Yeah. To have the fighters around the installation this week has been just tremendous for the morale of our installation. For all soldiers, whether wounded warrior or not. I use the word idol, and it's kind of funny when you see the fighters are idols to our soldiers, especially those of our soldiers who are into martial arts. But it's funny to watch the fighters themselves on how they idolize our soldiers.
They're laughing, they're joking with each other. We're having soldiers come up to the fighters and asking us, well, what does it take for us to become an MMA fighter? And, the engagement, at the press conference, right before the press conference, we had one of the Fort Bliss soldiers here who just won their boxing tournament, grappled with one of the fighters.
couple of people in the organization are former military, and so we have a special place in our hearts for the men and women that have sacrificed so much for this country.
Everybody did great. Everybody's a winner because everybody gets tickets, right?
I'm glad to be in an organization that is going to have charitable events where we do help out our soldiers.
I definitely think it's going to be a back and forth battle. Who has the better cardio? Who wants it more?
There's going to be over 600 pounds in the cage. Half of it's going to be extremely good looking. The other half's going to be getting its ass kicked.
David versus Goliath fight if there ever was one.
Sean McCorkle, 6'7", 305 pounds. I'm also the self-proclaimed best-looking man over 6'6" in the United States.
I'm excited for this fight with him. It took me 6 years to get to a promotion like this, to get my shot. And, you know, he's been where I want to be.
This is Heden's big chance. What a huge opportunity. He gets a win, his stock shoots up in the MMA world.
He's probably fought strong guys before, athletic guys before, but he hasn't fought anybody like me.
I feel like if I'm going to make a push for it, it starts with him.
Don't plan on seeing Brian Heden on the Maury Povich show anytime after March 31st, because once we fight, he's going to know exactly who his dad is. And Sean McCorkle, you are the father.
Growing up in Frazee, Minnesota, we're a very small community, maybe 1,000 people in that town. Everybody knows each other. We're known for being the home of the world's largest turkey. My family, you know, we were a tight-knit group, but when I was in my teens, it started getting a little rough. My stepfather, he ended up getting into drugs. So from probably my sophomore year to my senior year, I was kind of, you know, bouncing from house to house, you know, to kind of protect me. And, you know, it sucked. I'm glad it came out of that. You know, I'm glad my family's safe from the whole situation. It made me, you know, learn to appreciate things in life, appreciate, you know, what I have now, and make sure when my little boy is born that, you know, he's never gonna see anything like that.
Brian is the most non-confrontational person I've ever met in my life. He's a very humbled person.
I never was never in a fight when I was younger, never got in a street fight, never got in a scuffle. You know, he asked me, I was too scared. I was too scared to get in a fight whether somebody's picking on me, which, you know, I was picked on. That's why when I started fighting, everybody thought, well, you know, why is Brian fighting? You know, never did anything violent my whole life. And this kid, he was kind of being a smart aleck. He had this tournament coming in, and he's like, oh, you should do it. You're a big guy, you know, you think you're tough, which I never thought I was tough. But finally I got enough of it. I said, I'll do it. I ended up fighting 3 times that day for, you know, a big whopping $100. I remember my first time going in there, I was telling myself, you're stupid, why are you doing this? You know, just sick to my stomach, and it turned out for the best. So I guess the good thing I can say to this kid is thank you. You know, for me, I guess it's a good way to relieve, you know, everything I was pissed off at ever since I was little. I work at Team Industry. We build parts for Polaris. I get up at 4 in the morning, get at work at 6. I work till 6 at night, and then I go train. You know, work out 2 hours, you know, and I get home about 9:30, 10, just tired, and then do it all over again. I usually work right up until the day I gotta leave or the day before for weigh-ins, and I go fight, depending on if I get some bumps and bruises or not. But if I'm able to work, I'm there the next day for work, you know, whether I fought the day before or 2 days before that.
Growing up in Indiana was extremely boring. I've got 2 little kids, and if I didn't have joint custody of them, I would move to Florida or anywhere but Indiana tomorrow. I hate Indiana and everything about it, especially the people. I was very laid back, very shy kid. I felt a lot like people took advantage of that, you know, of my kindness, pushed me around. By the time I was 18 or 19, I just decided I'd rather be dead than afraid. I think there's part of me that's still got a chip on my shoulder from being taken advantage of or being pushed around as a kid. I was kind of lost there for a while after I got divorced and lost my business. I was just sitting at home all the time, like didn't really know what I was going to do with my life, and started taking a jiu-jitsu class for fun and found out accidentally I was one of the toughest men in the world. I would rather be good at golf and do that for a living, but I'm not. I'm good at fighting. So my dad hates it. He doesn't understand why I don't want to use my brain to make a living, which I would like to, but you don't get nearly as many girls or as much money if you're using your brain. I've come to find out is when you fight. That's like the ultimate pickup line for girls. Or that you're in a video game, that helps too.
I started walking to the cage, you know, I flipped that switch. And as soon as I get inside the cage, I'm a whole different person. It's just me and my opponent and the referee. To me, it's an awesome experience. And whether you get hit really good or you hit the other guy, the crowd lets you know it. You hear the oohs and ahs and the screams. And sometimes I'd like to let the guy hit me with his best shot. And if I know I can feel it, then it's like, I know he's not going to hurt me. I got a very strong chin. I've been hit by, some very big guys.
I don't like getting punched in the face. I don't want to mess my teeth up. As vain as that may be, I'm kind of pretty for a dude, So my nose is perfect, my teeth are perfect. If I was ugly, I guess I wouldn't care. But ugly's forever. That's what people say all the time. You have to love this to do it. I'm like, no, you don't. You just have to be good at it. You don't have to love it. Like if you love hurting people and being hurt, there's something wrong with you.
I'm a heavyweight who wants to finish. Whether it's standing up or on the ground, I'm going to be constantly moving, constantly trying to, put the pressure on to the point where, he quits or the referee says enough's enough.
Brian Heden, man, that guy he could run a marathon. When you wind him up, he goes.
That's one thing I pride myself is in conditioning. I want to go. I'm going to be a lot quicker. I feel like, he's bigger than me, but I've yet to find an opponent that I fought that's going to overpower me with strength.
I don't think he's ever fought anybody like me before. It's a whole nother world for guys like that. When they're used to fighting a certain kind of guy and they get in with guys as big and strong and fast, an athlete like I am, usually they get overwhelmed. They're not used to the size, speed, strength, and explosiveness.
Can't simulate training with somebody that's 6'7", 315 pounds. Probably the most athletic person I've ever been around.
The size difference between Brian and Sean, I don't think will affect anything at all. Brian's fought big guys just like Sean McCorkle, and he's walked all over them.
I know he gets tired fast, and when he gets tired, then he's going to be in my world. I don't get tired, and he's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt pretty bad.
I won't need the full 3 rounds. If he can take 3 rounds of what I've got, he needs to be in the top 10. It's always been in heavyweight fights that I tend to have cardio issues, and they've only seen me gas where the action is 3 times fast as what you're doing in a fight like this. Against a guy like him, he's not going to be moving on the ground like Stefan Struve or somebody like that does.
He's not straight out rude, but he gets his little digs in.
Really nice guy. I hate to talk trash about him, but don't think for a second I won't.
I'm going to gas him out and then knock him out.
Somebody's getting put to sleep. It's not going to be me. They fought for me.
They fought for me.
Now we'll fight for them.
March 31st, a special fighting event benefiting our nation's wounded warriors. WMMA presents 6'7" giant Sean McCorkle taking on the hard-hitting Brian Heden. Former top contender Caro the Heat Parisyan
I'm gonna throw my phone on his head.
battles Thomas the Wild Man Denny.
Watch me unleash.
WMMA, fighting for a better world. Go to WMMAsports.com. McCorkle versus Heden, live on pay-per-view.
WMMA has a commitment, not only a commitment to putting on great events, great live events, but also a commitment to charity, to giving back to communities wherever and whenever we can.
WMMA is committed that a portion of our proceeds go to benefit the wounded warriors, and that's part of our credo, that's part of our mission.
My name is Sergeant Michael Ortiz. Got diagnosed with a TBI, traumatic brain injury. I developed a stutter, had some short-term memory loss, and I made the decision to go to a neuro rehabilitation facility here in El Paso, and I was there for about 6 months. It really helped me out a lot.
I really appreciate the wounded warriors and every veteran. They're the ones that make this country.
Hey, General, it's nice to meet you.
The Wounded Warrior program is so important to us here on Fort Bliss and throughout the Army. It's really a transition. Either our wounded warriors are transitioning as far as healing and going back to units, or we're going to help them transition out of the Army into civilian care.
I really appreciate the fighters coming out and supporting the Wounded Warrior program. It was really cool to get to meet them. They had great personalities, they're just like us.
I've got a lot of respect for anybody that serves in the military in general, but especially for the guys who have sacrificed, their bodies and their lives for us, for the American people.
This is the building where we come see doctors and get treatment for anything, whatever's wrong with us. It's specifically only for WTU soldiers.
These guys and girls are a lot tougher than I am. My hat's off to them. I'm very proud of them.
I really love the Wounded Warrior program since being medevaced a couple months ago. It's just given me a lot of time to decompress, come to grips with my injuries and overcome them, and activities like this really get us going.
Perfect, all right. Let me see one of these other guys.
Come on, hon, you can do it.
We're here to heal and get better, and it's a really good opportunity for us to do that.
Army strong. Army strong, baby. Army strong.
This basically says you're not going to sue us if you fall and hurt yourself.
How are we gonna fall if we have a harness, bro?
Exactly. That's gonna happen. If there's some kind of relevant medical issue that we should know about, just write it on this back
How about
page.
if I'm terrified of heights?
That's no.
Then you're first. That medical issue? I'm not climbing that wall, I'm telling you.
There you go, man. Use your legs. It's all legs. Strongest muscles in your body.
Use your legs. Good job, Sean.
Leg right there. Good.
All right, that's it for
walking
me.
a ladder.
That's it for me, fellas.
Okay. Good job, man. Not bad for a guy that's scared of heights.
Terrified.
I found it a little odd that they could take punches to the face, but they couldn't get 5 feet off the ground. I thought it was a little, I thought they'd be a little bit braver than that, but, you know, we all have our specialties, I guess.
Wounded Warriors is, you know, a perfect opportunity for us to show them our thanks, to give them something back, and also to give them a great night of fights.
It's not an idle commitment, it's real.
March 31st, when we do the event, we'll be awarding these groups very large checks.
The things that you are doing with our Wounded Warriors, I just got to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Because you're helping our Wounded Warriors, giving them the techniques and the tools for them to overcome the obstacles that are now in their lives to be successful. So what a great partnership.
You can't give back too much.
I just want to say thanks to WMMA for all the support that they've given us Wounded Warriors and soldiers just here at Fort Bliss.
March 31st, the debut show of WMMA, a stacked card for a great cause.
On March 31st, there's going to be over 600 pounds of man flesh in the cage. Half of it is really good looking. The other half is going to be getting its ass whooped.
Sean McCorkle has a pretty big mouth and a pretty big ego, and once the cage door's shut, I feel Heden's going to knock him out in the first round.
We've seen two sides of Carl Parisyan in the past. Which one is going to show up on March 31st will be the key. This might be his last shot.
This is a big opportunity to show people that I'm back.
Thomas Denny is a veteran. He knows what he's doing in there, so it's not going to be an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm a perfect opponent for Carl. We're going to go out there and, you know, see if his judo can work versus my stand-up.
One of the key factors in this fight is going to be Brian Heden's conditioning. McCorkle does have a history of gassing out. If Heden can get it into the later rounds, he could steal one.
There's no other fighters out there that can match Sean's strength and size. So you got to get close to hit him. And if you can't get close, you can't hit him.
I'm going to be constantly moving, constantly trying to, you know, put the pressure on to the point where he quits or the referee says enough's enough.
Carl's judo throws are great. You hit the ground, you hit the ground.
Carl throws everybody. Is he going to throw me? Sure. But where am I going to land? Am I going to land on his back? Am I going to land in a better position for myself?
Might even knock him out in his own game.
Do I think Carl will stand with me? Absolutely not. And if he does, it'll be a short night for him.
It'll be less than 5 minutes. I will finish Thomas Denny.
Let's fight.
I'll tell you what, it's gonna be exciting.
McCorkle, Heden, Parisyan, Denny, WMMA, fighting for a better world.
They fought for me.
They fought for me.
Now we'll fight for them.
March 31st, a special fighting event benefiting our nation's wounded warriors. WMMA presents 6'7" giant Sean McCorkle taking on the hard-hitting Brian Heden. Former top contender Caro the Heat Parisyan.
I'm gonna throw my phone on his head.
Battles Thomas the Wild Man Denny.
Watch me unleash.
WMMA, fighting for a better world. Go to WMMAsports.com. McCorkle versus Heden, live on pay-per-view.